For the second month in a row, something has happened that I used to think was impossible. The money my portfolio made completely on its own, with me not adding a single penny, was more than the entire monthly salary from my old 9-to-5 job. Last month, when my investments grew by over £2,700, I was blown away. But I honestly thought, okay, this has to be a one-off. Surely the market will dip next month. Well, I've just run the numbers for this month and it's grown by another £2,755. That's £5,497 of completely passive growth in less than 60 days. So what's going on? How is this happening? And does this mean you should expect these results? In this video, I'm going to show exactly what's in my portfolio. We'll look at the new milestones I've hit in October, including a brand new £50,000 ISA milestone and a total portfolio value I didn't think I'd see this soon. I also want to talk about why this is happening and the one magic number in investing that I think I've just crossed. As always, I'm not a financial advisor and this is not financial advice. Okay, so the first huge update. As of today, the total value of all my investments is £81,650. Hitting 80k feels a bit crazy, to be honest. I've heard people in the US talk about the 100k mark as being this magic number where compounding, that's when your money starts generating more money, really starts to take off. And with the current exchange rate, £80,000 is pretty much our equivalent to that. When my portfolio was smaller, a 10% gain was like a few £100s. Nice, but not life-changing. But now, the gains are starting to be significant. They're starting to visibly do the heavy lifting. And amazingly, it's coincided almost exactly with me hitting that 80k threshold. I wish people would be able to experience this earlier on in their investment journey because I think it would make such a difference to their mentality and determination to keep going. But I think it just proves that all those tiny, seemingly pointless contributions I made years ago were worth it. They were building the foundation for this very moment. And if you're a bit earlier on in your journey, then I hope this spurs you on because you will get there. It's just a matter of time. Now let's get into the main part of the portfolio and the other big milestone, my stocks and shares ISAs. These have just crossed £50,000. This is split across 3 different platforms and each one tells a different part of my investment story. First, my oldest and biggest pot, my Vanguard stocks and shares ISA. This is now at an all-time high of £27,482. I started this account almost 4 years ago, back in the end of 2021, and I think this just goes to show that you absolutely do not need to be an expert to do well, because I also had no experience when I started this. You might be interested to know that for the first 12 months of me opening this account, it made no money. It was in the red for a really, really long time, especially during the COVID market drops, and it was scary. But the only thing I did 100% right was to have a long-term mindset. I just kept buying, kept contributing, and I trusted the process. That patience has set me up for the success I'm seeing today. And let's be mindful as well that up to this point, I also haven't sold a single investment throughout my entire journey. That includes all the funds that I chose at the beginning. I wanted to mention this because I think many of us suffer from imposter syndrome or think we don't know enough when we do. Next is the stocks and shares ISA I hold with Trading 212. This one is now at £22,950. This account represents the confidence I gained from that Vanguard experience. I only started this in July this year. I took a big decision to commit 20k of my savings all at once as a lump sum into a global tracker fund. I was nervous about letting go of that cash, but I know from my 4 years of investing that it was the best choice for my future. And in less than 4 months, that £20,000 investment has an unrealised gain, so growth on paper, of £2,815. Now, the tracker shows an annual rate of return at 50.4%, but let's be real, that's not going to continue. That's just because it's had a really strong start in a short space of time. And I'm personally expecting that to balance out to maybe 8 or 10% a year on average over the long run. But it represents just how committed I am to put my money into the stock market and hold it there. Last up for the ISAs is my InvestEngine account. This is sitting at just £147. It's up £6 this month alone. I love showing this account because it proves you don't need £20,000 to start. This account also went negative shortly after I started it, but through patience, it's now turned a profit. The 12% proportion of profit is exactly the same proportion as my £22,000 trading 2-on-2 account. What I'm getting at by saying this is whether you need to start with £10, £100 or £20,000, it's all just as important. Okay, let's cover the often underrated gem of an investment portfolio, the pensions. This is money I can't withdraw for decades, but it's still quietly growing in the background. I have 3 pots which now have a combined value of £31,071, made up of my lifetime ISA at £8,453, my old nest workplace pension at £12,042, and my L&G workplace pension at £10,576. Combined, these grew by £772 this month, and again, without me having to do a thing. I'm not contributing into these, although if I still had a regular job, I would be. If you have workplace pensions but aren't sure of the details, then please go and look them up. It's so empowering to know what the future may hold. And if you're after some pension motivation, then I recommend you watch my ISA versus pension video that I released last week. But back to the main topic of this video and my 2,755 gain. In my last portfolio update, a lot of you left comments saying next month is going to be really interesting, and you were right. From my perspective, I was genuinely expecting a dip. When you see phenomenal growth and you're used to the ups and downs, you just assume a low month is around the corner, but it's just continued. How fortunate am I to be invested right now and benefiting from this? Of course, a correction could just be around the corner, but in my opinion, that shouldn't put anyone off starting to invest. The longer I do this, the more faith I have in the long-term process, and the more I know that that first scary decision to invest 4 years ago was the right one. My big takeaway is that this all starts small, and it's patience and consistency that builds these results. Speaking of consistency, I track all of this in my own custom spreadsheet, and I know many of you have asked for it. It's going to be available very soon, so I've put a link in the description where you can get more info on that. You also saw a glimpse of my Vanguard account, which is my oldest and biggest investment pot. If you want more detail around the specific funds and how they've performed, and also find out the downsides to investing with Vanguard, then you can click straight onto this video next. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.